Hello and welcome back to another video on the 5 gears. If you haven't seen any of the videos yet on the 5 gears, I'd encourage you to go back and have a look at some of the other ones that we've produced already. Today we're going to be asking the question, how productive are you? And so we're going to be looking at 2 gears in this video. So a quick recap of the 5 gears from Giant. First gear, rest and recharge gear. So what is it that you do to rest and recharge? Do you have enough of that in your week? Second gear, connect mode. So connect gear, looking at your closest relationships. Are you making enough time for that? Third gear, social gear, really important one for growing your influence. And today we're going to be looking at 4th and 5th gear. So 4th gear is a task gear. It's a kind of being in a work mode. And a 5th gear is even more focused, so really getting into some focused work in 5th gear. We've also got reverse gear, which is when it all goes wrong and you need to go back and apologise for whatever mistake you've made, and willingness to go back and say sorry.
So 4th gear, what's 4th gear?
4th gear, it is, as I've said, a task gear. So it's a gear that we are using a lot of the time when we're multitasking. So it's when we are getting through our to-do list. It's a gear that a lot of people really like. You're a big fan of 4th gear, I would say. You like a to-do list, and so yeah, it's one that we're familiar with. It's one that we're often in, either at home getting things done or at work getting things done. So why is it important to do 4th gear well?
Well, it's important to get things done, isn't
Absolutely,
it?
Yeah.
Especially.
Bit of an obvious question, really.
Well, no, it's just worth saying, isn't it? Especially today when there's lots of things to do. Especially you've got family and you've got various things going on, work, you've got stuff to do in the neighbourhood, you've got elderly relatives to look after. There's just things that you need to make sure get done. So writing a list, ticking them off is always a good way to do it. The problem with 4th gear is what?
Well, the problem with 4th gear is I think probably it's a gear that tends to get overused. So, people might start their day checking their email, which is probably not a great way to start the day. Or you could find yourself suddenly, slipping back into 4th gear when you are supposed to be spending time with your family, or you're supposed to be, on a date night with your husband or wife. So, yeah, it's a gear that can be overused and can really affect the other gears quite a lot. It's one that, and I think also with modern technology, suddenly an email can ping in and before you know it, you're back into 4th gear when you're supposed to be in another gear.
So top tips on how to manage 4th gear then. We'd always recommend that you don't start the day in 4th gear, that you always start the day in gear 1. So getting some recharge first thing in the morning is a really good thing, whether that's a run, whether that's some exercise in some way, whether that's reading something inspirational, doing some journaling, doing a bit of planning maybe as well. But not trying to tick off tasks first thing in the morning unless you really have to, and sometimes there'll have to be exceptions. Have you got any other good tips for?
I think the other tip would be transitioning well out of 4th gear. So I think sometimes, and this has changed under our current circumstances, but when I used to commute home from work, there was a certain marker that would be, right, I'm transitioning from 4th gear into more of a connecting gear with Laura and the family.
Just talk us through that, because by the time some people watch this video, we'll hopefully be out of lockdown and be back on the
I cycle to work, so I'm cycling home, and then there's a physical marker, petrol station I go past, and I'm like, right, what are some questions I might want to ask when I get in through the door, preparing myself to listen, rather than just coming in with all of my work stress. So that would be, is that answering your question?
That's great. And even if you work from home, sometimes just going for a walk around the block,
yeah, very good,
or going to do something in the garden before you come back in, trying to sort of create yourself those markers that you already have in a workspace, that you recreate them at home is a good way to transition.
And also just thinking about your relationship with technology as well. So thinking, do I need to leave my phone somewhere? Is that going to interrupt a one-on-one with someone? So if it is, leave it somewhere else. It's going to be fine. You'll come back to it, after you're done. So putting some of those parameters in place, maybe leaving your phone downstairs when you go to bed so that you're not tempted first thing in the morning or late at night. So 4th gear can also help us or prevent us from winding down at the end of the day and getting enough sleep and rest.
I also make other gears one of my tasks as well.
That's good.
So I write down exercise and have a little tick box. so that then almost I'm kind of fooling myself because I like gear 4, that my exercise is gear 4. It's like something I'm ticking off. Or ring somebody that you know that you need to have a conversation with. Put that on your to-do list. Don't just put all the work things on your to-do list. Don't just schedule work stuff, schedule other stuff as well, including stuff you look forward to.
Yeah, great. So how healthy is fourth gear for you? Are you overusing it? In some cases, you might be underusing it. My temptation sometimes is I want to get into third gear when I need to stay in fourth for a bit longer. So, do you need to spend more time in fourth gear? Do you need to get better at organising yourself and your day? Or do you need to, like Laura said, factor in some other gears during the day?
I'm just smiling because I'm thinking about when you say to me, write me a list of jobs, and my little heart overflows. Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, that's tough.
Love that.
Okay, let's
Gear
move
5.
on. You're on gear 5.
I'm on gear 5. I love gear 5. Gear 5 is the focus mode. So it's not when you're kind of multitasking, ticking things off, doing a number of things simultaneously. It's where you're absolutely focused on something. So usually you'll need to be away in an office or buried away upstairs. It will be like having a red traffic light on the door of the room to say, go away. When I used to be in teaching, this is what I used to do during exam marking. I'd literally shut the door and I'd just have my head down and boom through the papers just to get them done as quickly as I could. So actually, being in gear 5 is being completely focused on the task. How do you find gear 5, and do you have any tips how to get into it?
Yeah, so I find gear 5 hard because I'm fairly easily distracted into other gears. And so I really need to put it into my schedule, and I need to communicate with Laura that it's happening. So there's kind of an accountability, and I almost need Laura to encourage me to do it, to sort of say, oh yeah, if you do that, and then once we finish, we'll celebrate in this way. What about your tendency with gear 5? What would be, something to watch out for
the
you?
Opposite of you, so to stay in it too long. So I also need James's help. So sometimes in the afternoon, I'm upstairs working, and I need to know when the cut-off time is, and he needs me to know when the cut-off time is as well. So he's quite good sometimes, we take it in turns to cook dinner. If he's cooking, he might say, Laura, dinner's on the table in 10 minutes, and then I know I need to be finishing off my task. And then when I come downstairs, I leave my stuff upstairs. I come downstairs. As I walk down the stairs, I'm transitioning then into gear 2 or gear 3 so that I can have some really good time with the family. So you can sometimes flag this up, if don't assume other people at work or at home know that you're in gear 5. Maybe you could put something on your door. Maybe you could have a traffic light system that says, green is come on in, I'm in a social gear, I'm chilling out, I'm just doing some photocopying or whatever. Amber is, I've got something to get on with, but come in briefly if you need to. Red is, do you know what, I just need to boom this out now, I need to focus, so please don't interrupt me. So being able to discuss it with others and tell them. So if I'm working at home, I say to James, I'm just going to go and get my head down, please don't let the boys come up. And he can hopefully support me in that way.
Yeah, that's good. And that fits with the top tip, I think, around communication. So one of the great things we love about the 5 gears is it's just so easy to say, we're actually in third gear right now, or we're in fourth gear. But you have to remember to do that. And so fifth gear would be that. I really want to, have some uninterrupted time to get this done. Can you release me to do that? Or, so communicating which gear you're in. You can just remind each other, we're in third gear right now, so let's not talk about that work. We have one day in the week where we try and rest and really go at a different pace, and so there's certain conversations we're not going to have on that day, on the Sabbath. And so we're trying not to be in fourth and fourth and fifth gear are kind of off on that day. So we kind of need to remind each other and encourage each other that we're not going to be in that gear.
Great. So as always, we love talking about this stuff. We also do something called 5 Voices, which is a fantastic, again, it's from Giant, it's a fantastic personality tool to help you to get to know yourself, to get to know your teammates, to know what you bring, and therefore to be able to interact at optimum capacity, which is what we'd all love to be, both relationally and in terms of work and productivity as well. So please get in touch if you're interested in finding out any more and you'd like to do a bit more of what we're doing and be in our world a little bit more. We'd love to be in yours. Have a great day and see you again soon.
Take care, everyone.